So they're always having conversations and they're doing.
Can you look at the camera?
I'm here too.
In different directions. And then
Welcome back to the Dr. Z
Center.
show. Jacob.
Is he restarting?
I've already started.
Oh, okay. Here we are.
No,
That's why I'm waving.
we're just gonna go at it. We're just gonna go. We're just gonna start.
No, we're just starting.
We've started.
I don't have any old Disney movies to rant about today.
Yeah, that was wildly uncomfortable
wait,
to
I could
rewatch
spill some
several times.
I could spill hot tea about the Barbie movies real quick. It's not
Wait.
long.
Which Barbie movies? Just all of them?
Cool. Ready? Are you ready for this shit?
Sure.
So all of the Barbie movies were put up on YouTube for free.
Oh, sweet.
By Mattel or by like
A dedicated fan.
It's unclear because
Okay,
YouTube also
piracy,
had them
got
up
it.
for rent, so you could rent or buy them too. And then
I have concerns about who's renting the Barbie movies.
parents.
From YouTube though, like from YouTube.
Parents.
My concern is not that they're being rented. My concern is like who is renting them.
We've answered this question twice now.
Parents, but like who else?
No one?
I would.
Like
that you know of.
Like there probably is someone who's like
assumption.
into that, but
yeah.
Friggin' the animation style's so bad. Like who would?
We've already passed. Like if we were gonna do a Rule 34 episode, we would have done it on episode 34. That's not what I'm talking about. Not the point. Okay, so all the Barbie movies were.
But then they got removed from YouTube, and they're getting slowly removed, like bit by bit, by YouTube itself. And I've still found a couple on there. So my friends and I might do like a Barbie movie night to like relive the glory days of being, a young girl enjoying Swan Lake.
Okay, I actually do have some input on like terrible movies to watch with your friends. The Netflix Christmas movie universe.
Oh my god.
Very convoluted.
Okay.
Because friggin' so
I'm 99% sure that you've brought this up on the show before, but you brought it up like in July or August or something.
Oh, no,
like you brought it up in the middle of the summer.
Okay, so in The Princess Switch, starring Vanessa Hudgens, who plays herself in two different roles. Well, she doesn't star as Vanessa Hudgens.
No. She does the Parent Trap thing.
Yeah, she does the Parent Trap thing, but with herself.
Though?
Yeah, she's playing like her.
She's Vanessa Hudgens playing Vanessa Hudgens.
No, I missed.
That's what you mean. Okay, I was like,
yeah, I missed.
I'm already lost.
So, anyways, yeah, Vanessa Hudgens is playing like two characters that look like each other, and in the first movie, for a split second they watch another Christmas Netflix movie, like. That's going on. Like the characters sit down, turn on Netflix, and turn on A Christmas Prince, which has like its own trilogy. Right. Then so it's established in the first movie of A Princess Switch that Christmas Prince is a Netflix movie that is fictional in that universe. Then in the sequel, in Princess Switch, Switched Again, which has Vanessa Hudgens playing 3 people.
Why? Never mind. I'll ask that later.
At a coronation, the king and queen of like Aldovia or like whatever show up to the coronation, even though they were fictional characters in the first movie.
Okay, I have one very important question to ask you, Jacob. I want you to think very carefully about how you answer this question.
I solemnly swear I will not.
Why do you know this information?
Because it's wild and fun.
Because I have watched them. Last year, I went on a binge and watched all of the Christmas Prince movies. In rather short succession.
Are they good?
No. Oh no.
Jacob's liking of bad things continues.
Here's how you
I'm
know
not
it's
rec-
really bad. Here's how you
Okay,
know it's really bad.
the
I
Christmas
have not
special-
watched them.
The Christmas Netflix movies are like
universe. It's
they're
its own
like-
universe because they're all connected.
that's like Netflix is the conduit.
Yeah.
Like-
accurate statement.
So
There's another movie starring Vanessa Hudgens, like a Christmas night, where a knight gets like sent to the future from like medieval times to like find true love, and it's Vanessa Hudgens. And in that one, they
The
reference
Knight is Vanessa Hudgens.
no, the
No.
knight is sent
she falls in
to
love with the
find
knight.
romance. Yeah. And
Okay.
in that universe as well, like the fictional Europe of A Christmas Prince exists as well, because they have like all of these like random European countries that are all British. So I think that there's an alternate timeline where like Britain actually took over most of Europe, and established like all of.
A few
But
times.
to the point where like accents and like native languages are just completely overridden, and you have all of these monarchies that are just all British, but they're in all of these Eastern European countries.
So
Is this the same timeline, or is this a different timeline where in the far future everyone is British? This is the Warhammer 40K timeline.
I think-
no, this is absolutely the
the-
Warhammer
Could
40K.
be the
I
same
think it's
time.
the Warhammer. I think it's the
okay,
Warhammer
so the
40K timeline.
so
yeah.
headcanon, the
Netflix?
Netflix Christmas universe exists in the Warhammer 40K timeline.
This is not how I thought the beginning of this
orcs-
episode
The
would go.
orcs and the Space Marines, all British.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't-
Got it.
Nobody
All right,
needs to know.
headcanon officially established.
Yeah, that's all you needed to know really for today.
Yeah, I feel like we can end the episode there. We already have
We've
the
learned,
hottest
we've
take of
learned a
all
lot
time.
of new information.
This take is scalding hot.
This has literally nothing to do with what today's
No!
episode is about. No, okay, no, it does, because then they have to bridge the gap between the grim darkness of the far future,
that
where
what I
there was
wanted
only
to
war,
start?
and now.
I
With
thought
the
we also
Netflix
wanted
Christmas
to update
universe.
people as well, because I wanted to just update you all on fucking last episode too.
Yeah.
Is that-
Oh right,
Supernatural
it's
stuff.
super.
'Cause
Yeah,
Supernatural
Supernatural is
over.
officially over, and there is much rejoicing in the land.
Is there?
I have no idea. I hope there is.
Just
It
wanna-
doesn't. From your reaction, it sounds like there is indeed not much rejoicing in the land.
Send you all a picture.
Please stop doing this, because
I
every
just wanna
time
say-
people are like, "Oh, why don't you edit the picture or the
I don't
weird
know why-
text into the show?" And I'm like, "That's
Super
work
Hillock
that
too.
I don't want to do."
No, I just maybe you know what I mean Skype is anyway. I'm gonna share my screen because I need you all to see this picture of old Sam Winchester.
I feel like I want to just like bleep Brenna's entire like screaming at me out in like a really long like beep, like just.
Me looking directly at my camera. Hold on. I just need to
I might do that. That's.
go for it.
Also, when Abby and I were talking about the fact that like Castiel doesn't get out of hell, or does get out of hell, but is only mentioned like whatever instead of showing up in the rest of the series.
So he doesn't come back.
He's
from...
been twice.
Yeah, he's been
Twice
broken
in
like
passing.
yeah, and he
Like-
he was broken out of that super hell like multiple times
Yes.
before.
By Dean.
Yeah,
This is
so
very
like
complicated.
his sacrifice wasn't even like really that much of a
Worth it.
sacrifice, because like he'd
He's
gotten
done it before. Like
yeah.
he's left the empty before.
Yeah. Also, we were joking that like the empty, because the whole point of the empty is like it's where dead
The
angels
empty is
and
super hell?
demons.
That's super
Yeah,
hell.
it's where
Okay, got it.
called
Yeah,
the
it's where
empty.
angels. It's the afterlife for angels and demons.
Yes.
And they actually just sleep there. Like, and the warden just doesn't like it when they're awake.
So tired.
Yeah. So we were talking about how like Abby said that there should just be like a mime that does a really terrible job there to like make sure everyone stays asleep, because it's just like so boring to watch.
A mime.
Yes, just a terrible mime.
I'm missing a part of this joke.
We were just thinking of like something that would keep all of the angels and demons bored.
Oh
my! Wow, that's terrible. That's awful. That is one of the worst things I've seen in my life.
That's him like younger or older?
That's okay, great. So here's what happens in the last episode. Are you ready?
Please unshare this.
Yeah. Are you ready for the quickest retelling of the last episode of Supernatural ever? Great. They go to a pie eating contest.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No interrupting.
Sure.
It will only make it worse and more confusing if you interrupt me.
Got it.
They go to a pie eating contest. At the pie eating contest, there are mimes that are terrorizing the contest and steal 2 girls. Sam and Dean go to a barn. Yeah, mimes. Anthony, continue to keep listening. So
Jacob's too excited. Okay.
The Winchesters have to go save these kids, obviously, and they go to this barn, which is a barn they went to in season 4. And in this barn, they find the kids. They defeat the monsters and stuff. And then Dean trips and falls onto a rusty nail and dies, bleeding out. And then Sam goes on to marry some blurry blonde woman in the background, and then Dean drives around in his old 69 Camaro in heaven, and then Sam gets old and dies of old man disease, and then goes to heaven and they hug, and that's how Supernatural ended. And that's old Sam.
A rusty nail?
A rusty nail! Oh, I have to show you the only thing. Okay,
he wasn't up on his tetanus shots. He wasn't friends with the main character.
That's what everyone's joking about, is he died of tetanus.
So you didn't know anything about the mimes?
Oh, I did not. I knew about the episode, the way that it ended. I knew about Dean's death,
like
vampires and stuff.
I'm going to share with you the only thing that Jensen Ackles shared about Supernatural after the episode aired.
That's harsh, though. They didn't even, Castile didn't even get to come back again.
This is the only, so all of them.
That's not a nail. That's a holy shit. Okay, you said a nail, and I think, a nail. Some little ass,
Okay, whatever. It's a spike.
I mean, yeah, okay. No, it's a nail, but, okay.
Everyone else was posting really heartfelt things of oh, I'm so glad Supernatural Supernatural was a great part of my life. Jensen hasn't shared any of that shit. Jensen has shared.
I love the comments. I love the comments. You really nailed that scene.
Yeah, for sure. You truly nailed that scene. I'm gonna give that one a like. The only other thing he shared is this post, which was about him dressing up as Dean for the last time. So those are the boots he wore all throughout the show. That's all these are the last 3 posts on his Instagram. This is from Giving Day. This is from right after the episode aired, and this is from right before it aired. I feel like that says a lot. So
he's not pleased, apparently.
Well, here's the other hot tea about it. In the Spanish dub of episode 18 that aired in Brazil, primarily it was first broken from Brazil, of episode 18. This is the one where Castile dies.
Okay.
In the translation, and it wasn't edited out, it was edited out of the video, but it wasn't edited out of the audio, you hear Dean say in response, "I love you too," while he's crying.
I don't know what. I don't understand. What?
It was cut out of the American one, but it wasn't cut out of the Spanish dub. So the joke there is maybe it'll come out in the Spanish dub, or everyone's saying whenever the things aren't going their way, it's oh, maybe it'll go my way in the Spanish dub, which is
so let me get this straight. Supernatural had how many seasons? So 15 seasons of fighting monsters and creatures from hell and like demons.
Literally,
and, like,
literally killing God. You mean literally
you-
killing
you
God?
die to an.
But they don't actually kill. They only sort of kill him. They depower him and let him
They
live as a
depower
mortal.
Chuck. Yeah, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter.
Do they use the power of friendship to kill God?
No, but Dean's son does
Yeah.
become God.
It's his
Or
son.
Yeah, the 4-year-old.
Jack is his son.
Is it? I don't fucking
It's
know.
the Nephilim kid.
Okay,
Oh,
whatever.
I have no idea.
Jack is the
Anyway.
Nephilim kid. He becomes God.
Anyway,
Also, Jack isn't mentioned either in the last 2 episodes.
Well,
and
because he restructures heaven. He makes it so that not everyone can visit each other instead of having their own personal bubbles.
I don't know.
okay. Anyway, this has been horrible. I hope I never have to hear about Supernatural ever again in my entire life. Cue the like 8 million messages of Supernatural I'm about to get as soon as I put this episode up. That is the worst thing that I've ever seen. Please stop showing me this.
he looks like a budget Doc Brown.
Look, and I get it. COVID rewrites are hard, right? Like, I get it. Like, there were restrictions.
But there weren't that many restrictions.
Okay, if you want to talk about like things being difficult during COVID, like
could have done better.
my brother sent me a video of there's apparently like this girl, this like 15-year-old singer who's like she has a video that has kind of blown up called Lonely Christmas, and like her editing's pretty good in it, so I feel like there's no excuse at a certain
Like
point.
lots
some
of people
have
are
definitely
releasing beautiful content during this time. Like, and just to really punctuate too, at Dean's funeral, like 3 people showed up. And I
Harsh.
know that was because of COVID restrictions, but like,
Harsh.
we could have done better. Like, don't show the funeral.
Everyone hold your breath. We have 2 seconds to take this scene.
Like, I just feel like it deserved better. That's all I'm saying. It deserved better. Like, past shipping, past whatever. This, pointing to my second monitor, which still has old Sam on it, this is unacceptable. Also, if you're looking for like a actually fun show to watch,
Watch the Dr. Z show.
Well, I was saying TV show.
Oh.
That Eric Kripke has had a part of. Go watch The Boys. It's really good.
It is really good.
The Boys is really good.
It's
really
good.
strong.
I stayed up all night and binged the entire series, and I hate myself. Not like last night, but I hate myself because I was very tired for like 3 days afterwards.
I mean,
but it's so good.
It's really good.
worth
It's really strong. And
would do again.
The son of Meg Ryan and who's his dad? I always forget. It's the guy who plays Huey.
Louie and Dewey.
No, Jacob.
Huey?
And he's an animated duck? What?
No, Jacob.
Huey Campbell. What is his?
Army Hammer.
No, Jacob.
I'm just trying to remember the actor's dad.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, Jacob.
It's Jack Quaid. It's Dennis Quaid. Dennis
Oh,
Quaid
okay,
is his
okay.
dad. Meg Ryan is his mom.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
Okay, so what is this episode actually about? Because it's not about the Netflix
Okay,
Christmas
actually-
universe and Warhammer 40k existing in the same timeline, and
No,
it's
it could
definitely
be.
not about Supernatural.
I feel like we could explore that more.
Okay, so here is a way to bridge those topics, though. In my research about generations, it seemed like the kind of agreed upon length of by the Pew Research Center on like a generation of people was about 15 years, and Supernatural it's lasted 15 seasons. So
An entire
there could
generation.
be an entire generation of people.
I've been seeing posts on Tumblr that are like, I was 6 when I started watching it. I was like, why? It's a lot when you're 6.
This
Yeah.
is very confusing. Okay, so today we're talking about bridging the gap. We're
What we're
getting
actually
old.
talking about.
Yeah, we're getting old and crotchety,
You guys
and
are.
video games have been around for many years. And I realized, to my horror, that the children that I live with are like you could hear the little fuses pop in their brains when I told them that I was older than Minecraft. Like they couldn't comprehend that there was a time before Minecraft, and I realized that the oldest one was born in 2012. And I'm just like, "Oh man." So, for reference, like for this episode, the kids are 8, 7, and 4. And there's a toddler, but not relevant. So that's my frame of reference for like there's me and their dad and like sort of our wives, like sort of playing games or like being aware of their existence. But like me and their dad like been gaming like kind of our whole life. And now we're trying to like introduce these kids like their first console is the Nintendo Switch. Like they don't like they didn't like when I hooked up the PS4 to the TV in the living room, they were like, "What's the PlayStation?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
Well, and I was gonna say like my only frame of reference is my cousin's kid who plays a lot of video games, but only wants to talk at me about video games. Doesn't actually like talking about video games with me. And
okay,
he's 13.
so hear me out for a second.
Mhm.
So this is gonna sound really bad, so I'm gonna say this first. It is always good to have your opinion on the show. I think it will be good to have your opinion for this episode because you like started playing games, like started like
Much later in
gaming
life.
very recently, like in
Like,
terms of like how
properly,
long
yeah.
you've been alive. Like so your take on being introduced, like you were introduced to games and then like you sort of played games, but now you're like
I was
gaming.
very casual. Yeah, I was very casual with gaming, right? Like, my parents, unlike the two of you, who kind of had those siblings and had like your parents like support you playing video games.
Mhm.
I mean, you know what I mean though. Your parents
Right,
bought
no,
you
I know.
video games.
Well,
Like,
true. Okay, for
they
a time,
bought you
yes, that
games. They
yeah, for a time.
actively like if you asked for a game, it was purchased for you.
Yes, for a time that is correct.
Yes.
Birthdays and Christmas.
I mean, yeah, like my parents bought me a PS2 and bought me a Game Boy.
Oh, I didn't know that
But
actually.
yeah. So I had a PS2, and I was really excited about it. But I think I only owned like 6 PS2 games, and none of them were like good. I had like Harry Potter Quidditch.
That doesn't surprise me because the PS2
The
had
Transformers.
a massive library.
I did not have the Transformers game. I did have the PS1 game, the Scooby-Doo PS1 game, where you had like different levels and it was a platformer. I played that on PS2. And then like 3 other games, and one of them was like Fairly Odd Parents Break Into Rules, which is a weirdly hard game. It's a weirdly hard game.
Some older like kids games are hard.
They're weirdly hard.
Hard.
Well, this was also like a
Donkey Kong
3D
Country.
game too, so you were trying to like work in 3D, and like it very much like depended on where you were. And this was like PS2 3D, trying to figure that out, and like not like like I guess like Tomb Raider style 3D. Like this is a platformer in 3D.
Very triangular.
Like Mario Odyssey, but shitty. But it was really fun. So, and I had my Game Boy Advance, but I didn't have like Chrono Trigger or like popular games. I had like Barbie Groovy games, which I've talked about on the show. I had like Shrek Racing. Like
Okay.
I didn't have like popular games. The only like exposure I got was through like my friends and like Kirby Air Ride and like Super Smash Bros. Melee. Like so it was all very casual for me until I got to college really and like had my own PC and started playing like Skyrim and started playing like more mainstream gaming that I like gave a shit about video games. Like again, to this day, the only two Zelda games I've played are Skyward Sword and Phantom Hourglass, which are actively
Hey,
the two worst.
You have a Switch now. Play
I
Breath
do
of
have
the
a
Wild.
Switch, and I know that. Well, Link's Awakening also just got reworked for Switch.
No,
Wind Waker, I know, has also gotten reworked.
no,
I
it's
want
not for
Breath of the Wild.
Switch.
Oh, not? Oh,
Yeah, it was
No.
on Wii U, the HD remake.
I don't know how to feel about Link's Awakening. I really liked Link's Awakening.
Is it better?
Because I had the original for the GameCube.
Better than Skyward Sword?
Or the original for Game Boy. Bleh. It's better than Skyward Sword. It does fall into those category of like kids games that are weirdly hard.
Is it better than Phantom Hourglass?
Yes.
Then I will play it.
But Breath of the Wild
love
is better
Phantom
than all
Hourglass.
three of those.
Phantom Hourglass is not good.
It's a good game. It's better than Spirit Tracks.
Jacob,
It
you
is
like the
infinitely,
conduit.
It's
Jacob,
infinitely better than Spirit
you
Tracks.
like the conduit. Okay, so
So
like
I have
the
a
stylus
weird
motion
perspective.
and the combat.
well, you have a unique perspective.
Yeah,
Say
for
that.
the context of like bridging the gap, right?
Okay.
Like,
So also for context, the first console I owned was a Super Nintendo, but I've been PC gaming kind of since I could reach the keyboard. Like early on it was very like simple like pinball and like DOS games, like really
I had a-
simple DOS games.
I had a couple of those. Like I had like the Nancy Drew games, and I had like some Barbie games, and I had like educational games, and then it was Sim. But the two main ones I played like consistently were Sims and Civilization.
Civ 1.
Civ 2,
Okay.
and then later I think my dad's favorite was Sim 3. Civ 3 was my dad's favorite.
Civ 4 is still the best. Fight me in the pit. Anyone, not just you, but anyone.
No, anyone. I mean,
Civ
like
4 is
I
still-
don't think I played Civ 4, so
Okay, yeah. So that's.
I'd have to listen to the opening music.
So I had the Super Nintendo. I didn't get a Nintendo 64 until I was much older, but like everyone I knew had Nintendo 64. So if I ever wanted to play, I would just go to somebody's house to play it. And then I got a GameCube, and that was like huge for a while. And then, since then I've had Nintendo consoles. We skipped the Wii U because it's garbage.
I mean, it's
Uh,
fun.
But yeah, like I had a Game Boy, like kind of when they first came out. Mostly to keep me occupied and like long car rides, and because I was in and out of the hospital a bunch as a kid. So yeah, Jacob's, it's really from your brother, right?
So
Like,
yeah, my grandma,
introduction.
my grandma liked my brother like the most out of all of the siblings, so she
Ouch.
got him. Yeah, so she would get him like the expensive gifts. So
I mean, there are like
all
what,
of the
14 of you.
yeah. So he had he was like given like an NES and an SNES. So we grew up having those, and those were like my Super Metroid is like Super Metroid and Super Mario World were like my first gaming experiences.
That's Super Mario for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I remember playing like Street Fighter 2 and like Ninja Gaiden and being really terrible at it.
I mean, Ninja Gaiden is hard.
Yeah. So but the thing is, we still have a lot my games like downstairs in our basement.
Like kicking around.
Yeah, but what my brother would do is he would go through and he would, because the consoles belonged to him, he would sell them and buy whatever the next generation of console was. So we started off with an NES and an SNES, and then for a brief time we had an N64. So like I played a little bit of that, and then we had a PS1, played a little bit of that. He sold that, got a Dreamcast. I played a handful of games on Dreamcast. I got really into like Soul Calibur and Sonic Adventure on that, and like Crazy Taxi, and I'm trying to think what else. Even though I've never really played it, I just have very fond memories of Shenmue for like no reason. Like,
Everyone has really fond memories of Shenmue for no reason. And Fight Me in the Pit, Shenmue 2, and Shenmue 3 are garbage video games. Fight me.
I don't know what these are.
yeah,
They're
I know.
garbage.
I know Shenmue
know
3
that.
was like considered just very bad by everyone. So
They're garbage.
then he had a PS2, and at that point he had moved away, and so I didn't really play anything on the PS2. But I played a lot of stuff on like the Dreamcast. I didn't play as much on the N64. But then eventually we had like Game Boy Colors and stuff. Game Boy
are you
Colors, Game
okay?
Boy Advance.
I'm looking up Shenmue.
Okay, I was like, what are you doing?
Oh wow! Oh
Yeah,
no!
And then eventually we had a GameCube, and that was kind of GameCube and like Game Boy Advance, DS. Like that was kind of my bread and butter for a while. Like we had a lot of games for the Wii, but I think I liked games on the GameCube probably the most out of
GameCube had a really good library. I think
It did have a
like
good
this is probably gonna generate some kind of flack, but like GameCube had a better library than Wii, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was hard to develop games for the Wii because everyone was trying to incorporate like the weird motion controls. Hot take though, Resident Evil 4 Wii edition is better than Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. It's also much easier because you get the laser sight and you just point at the screen.
Yeah, I've never played a Resident Evil game.
Resident Evil 4 is fantastic and you should play it.
I watched people on the internet play Resident Evil 7.
Ugh. Sorry, I have feelings about Resident Evil, but anyway, not the point. So we sort of interviewed, asked questions. Jacob's
had someone who
brother-in-law
had
who
input.
has
I
his
think we
own
had someone
baseball
who had
team
input, yeah.
worth of children.
Yeah.
Do they have 9 now? Am I correct in assuming that? Or
9
is it 8?
children?
Yeah.
No.
How
They have
many kids
5.
do they?
There's
They
like-
only have
they
5. No way.
Yeah, they have 5 kids. Maybe 6. I'm sure. Let me think of the names. real
Maybe
quick.
you can't remember how many nieces and nephews you have.
Okay, look, it's just like all of my sisters are pregnant at all times. Like,
That's not okay. That's not true. I know that's not true.
no, look, I have some of my siblings are having babies
As we speak,
yeah, as we speak.
literally right now.
There are several Brissons being pushed out right now.
Actually, they wouldn't be Brissons because
Sisters.
of names.
I mean,
But there is
look, your
there is
brothers
another.
could have kids too.
My
they
one
wanted
brother is having another kid though,
There
so
you go.
that is.
Wait,
that is happy.
wait, hold on. Another kid?
Yeah, he's having another
Spencer-
kid. Yeah,
He has a child now?
yeah, he has a child now. It's a very
I'm like,
happy.
I'm really behind on a lot of what's going on apparently. Holy shit.
I can't
Wow.
name more than 2 of Jacob's siblings.
I
There's
have
a
the Brisson
Rachel.
badge. I have the Brisson badge. I'm very accomplished.
I don't
But
think I've
apparently I've been
met
behind
more
on
than
things.
one of your siblings.
Okay, no, yeah. Linda has 6 kids. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I had a feeling. It's just like I haven't
It's
been
almost a
around-
baseball team.
I haven't been around as much for the 6th kid. Like he was born kind of recently.
Fair. Okay. Anyway, so we
Anyway.
interviewed Nick,
hmm
who is how old?
33.
Okay. So 6 years older than you and I.
Mhm.
Oof, that's 33 is 6 years from now. Big oof.
Mhm.
And so he's been like, was this like a recent undertaking where he just like was gonna catch up on the last like however many years of gaming, or did he
No,
like
no,
do this?
It's
to-
been a while.
invite is?
Yeah, like so when I got back from my mission, we went and saw Coco, because it released in like Christmas of 2017. And we went and saw it as a family. And while we were in the theater waiting, like his oldest kid was playing Shovel Knight, like on their Switch.
Fantastic. On their.
Yeah.
Oh
Switch
no,
has
yeah.
been out for
Okay,
a
no,
while.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so
Fantastic game, by the way. Definitely recommend Shovel Knight. Wonderful.
yeah, I've played through a little more than half of it. I didn't end up beating it because it was just one of those things where like I spent an afternoon and like plowed through a bunch of the content.
Plowed through it.
Yeah. So
It's great. No, it's a great game.
yeah, I should go
Definitely
back and
like it.
There's
finish
a lot to dig through in it. Yeah.
it. I appreciate it.
You should dig it up from your
Yeah.
I already made a dig
games
pun.
library.
Come on.
Oh.
Come on. Already
Gotta
made
get
dig
down
pun.
and dirty.
Thank you.
Steal yourself.
There you go.
All right. Anyway,
It has shovelfuls
So-
of content. Okay.
that's a bit of a stretch. Okay, so
Anyways.
Shovel Knight.
Yeah, so he's been educating his kids in media for a while. Like, you know, maybe a year or maybe 2 years ago, you know, Linda and Nick were talking about how they were so glad that Digimon was on Netflix and that they were or on Hulu, one of them, and
It's
that they were able
on
to
Hulu.
share. Yeah, they were able to share like
Pokemon's on
you know,
Netflix.
the original, you know, like original seasons of Digimon with their kids and
Shows
everything.
that they grew up watching.
Yeah, and that's something I look forward to as well. Is like, you know, because the thing is, I still have lots of like toys from that era, and so I won't have to spend as much on toys if I just show them the right media and then just
Well,
re-gift them.
Yeah, that's
My
been
hands
interesting. Like the kids have been watching. They watch Pokemon all the time. Like, if they're not watching Pokemon, they're watching a streamer play like Mario Odyssey or something. But like Pokemon is always on in the house. Like, it's always Pokemon, and they've watched every season of Pokemon, like including the very first original season that I grew up
Wow.
watching. So I remember coming upstairs one day and like they were in the living room watching Pokemon. And I was like, oh hey, like I've seen this episode, like, and sat down and like watched Pokemon with them because I have very fond memories of like waking up in the morning, like and like the new episode of Pokemon was on, and like, I mean they can watch it whenever they want because it's on Netflix, and so they're just like, oh yeah, like whatever. But point. So like. It's also interesting, like growing up playing like Red and Blue version and watching like original Pokemon like as it was happening, kind of, and then like watching them sort of like watch Pokemon in whatever order, like kind of whenever they feel like, and playing the Let's Go like remakes of Red and Blue. So like they're at that stage where they want to watch everything in order. Like they don't like jump around and watch like random episodes of random seasons. Like they'll sit and watch like a whole season and then they'll go to like another season and like watch them. And they really enjoy Pokemon. They actually had to ask to have new accounts set up on their Switches so they could start over playing Pokemon again. But they really enjoy playing it. And they're always asking me like, oh, what is like such and such Pokemon evolve into? Like, who's your favorite, like whatever type of Pokemon? Like the questions about Pokemon are endless and sometimes honestly sometimes irritating, but a lot of times I'm like, wow, like I definitely remember me being this age and like asking my cousin who was older, and of course that means he knew more than me about Pokemon, like, oh, like, you know, what do I have to do to get, you know, such and such Pokemon? Like, how do I get this Pokemon? Like, you know, what does this Pokemon evolve into? Kind of questions. So that's been like an interesting perspective. I get a little, the thing that like makes me kind of elitist about this whole thing is that like I get a little irritated at like and we've talked about this on the show before, like how easy a lot of new games are. So I remember growing up, a lot of games were like, they were just hard. And you just like had to keep trying. Like you just had to keep, like dying and starting over from scratch with nothing and like keep trying. And now a lot of like, especially the Let's Go's, which I have like a personal vendetta against, are just like they just like give you like just stuff is just like given away like for
But
free.
is it a bad thing that we're trying to like make it a more inclusive experience for people who don't want to slog?
Well, it's not that it's a slog, and it's not about
It's a slog.
to me it's not about the inclusive experience. It's about like it's so easy that it feels like, okay, so I played through Pokemon Sword and Shield, and like there were battles in Sword and Shield that I was like, wow, this is like challenging, but it wasn't like, oh no, I'm going to lose. It was like, this is a small challenge that is mildly inconveniencing me. Now though, it a lot of the Pokemon, and we're just using Pokemon as an example here, but like a lot of games just like they're just like giving you shit away for free. Like you don't have to use critical thinking, and you don't have to think about, like for Pokemon example, you don't have to like think about type advantages or like, what Pokemon do I have to catch on my way to the next, like kind of like critical thinking skills. Like you need to use critical thinking skills in life, and Pokemon teaches that. And your microphone is muted.
Okay, my point though, so there's two types of Pokemon games, right? Like there's the closer to the, originals, and then there's the Let's Go's. The Let's Go's are for people who just don't give a shit about the actual games and just want to have fun and just enjoy the world of Pokemon. Because if you've watched our streams, you will know I am playing through Pokemon Emerald for the first time, and I kind of don't care. I like
Ruby Sapphire. Okay, to be fair though, Ruby Sapphire and Emerald was a hard generation.
It's not that it's hard. Like I'm not having difficulty.
You got the
Yeah.
beat down though from some of those.
Yeah,
from some
but like
of those
I don't. But like that's fine. Like I'm not upset that I was getting the beat down.
No, I'm not upset. I'm not upset either. What I'm saying is like that game, like you had to put thought into it. Like
yes, and I'm doing that, and like that's not like I don't know. I don't care about the fighting and the battling in this game. Like, and that's insane to me because that's the whole premise of the game.
maybe this is the perspective difference thing though. Like
exactly.
So you feel this way because you didn't grow up playing Pokemon. Jacob, what are your thoughts on this specifically? Specifically Pokemon, because that's what we're talking about right now. In general, but specifically Pokemon.
I think all the Pokemon games have been easy, and it's just like people invented Nuzlocke challenges because as they grew up, they realized this actually isn't that hard. Because the thing is, you can like
Fair.
it's rude, but you can suicide yourself against all of the gym leaders until you beat them. Like, it's a grind, but like the game is designed, unless you run away from all of the fights, to level you up to the point where you're strong enough for each gym leader.
If nothing else, like if anything, you're over leveled for some of the gym leaders, especially early on. Like that first gym, the first gym I fought on stream, I like wrecked house.
Yeah, granted, it will be harder if you don't think about anything at all, like Anthony's talking about. But at the same time, I don't feel like I put too much thought into my stuff. Like I looked at type advantages, but I always like on runs of Pokemon, I always got rid of. The only thing I would ever do is like, does this attack do more damage? Yes. Okay, let's delete the weakest other attack.
When my friends are playing in their Pokemon League and they're doing their league battles against each other, then they're thinking super critically about their team and when they're doing the draft, like which Pokemon they're gonna draft, and like they're thinking super critically, and that whatever. But when I'm playing Emerald, it's more of just like, I guess I should have a unique type now.
Yeah, if
I don't want to get too much in. I don't want to get sorry, Jacob. I don't want to get too much into this, but like, why are you playing Pokemon if you don't like it this much?
Because I feel like I should.
Okay, fair.
Because
And
I
it's
feel
a
like
chore.
it's a thing. It's why I played Chrono Trigger. Because
You liked Chrono Trigger though,
I
right?
did enjoy Chrono Trigger, but
Chrono Trigger
like
is a fantastic game.
the only reason I played Chrono Trigger is because a guy I was hanging out with at the time bought me Chrono Trigger and said, "Play this game."
Did you play on the DS?
On my 3DS, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
It was good.
Like I
I
wouldn't have
didn't
I
finish all
Definitely,
wouldn't
of
have
if
played
you've
it.
not played Chrono Trigger, definitely go play Chrono Trigger.
It's worth it. It's pretty good, and the remaster's really successful. The remaster feels really smooth. It doesn't feel like some remasters can kind of.
Be garbage.
Well, I was gonna say like change the aesthetic of the game.
Also true, yeah.
This is very true to the original aesthetic of the game.
Yeah, fair.
Based on what I've seen from, because I wanted to see when I was playing through it, like how honest it is to the originals, and like seeing other YouTubers and streamers play it, like it's pretty true, and the music's great. If nothing else, the Chrono Trigger music is great.
This is also true. I agree.
And it's like one of the, I think it to this day is still the only like true party system game that I've played, like of that like JRPG party system.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I've
Like,
never
visit the
played a
Tower of
Final
Friendship
Fantasy
to
game. I've never
kill God
played like
kind of
Fire
deal.
Emblem.
Mario
Never
Party.
played Mario Party.
Yeah, you said party system, and I was like Mario Party?
No, I'm thinking of the like party system where you have members of your party
Right.
and they all fulfill different roles.
Okay.
So yeah, I have a really unique perspective on all of this because I don't give it. But again, you're also talking about the same person who doesn't give a shit about Star Wars. Like,
fair.
I have a really really weird perspective on some nerd staples.
So yeah, so like what Nick's saying, and like he sent us some messages about like his thoughts.
Yeah.
'Cause he couldn't be on the show with us. But like what he's saying about like his philosophy, his and Linda's philosophy being like, oh, let's introduce our kids to games we played as kids, like to begin with, to start as like here is where we started. Like he said, playing like Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, and then eventually like playing through those games and then like getting to Breath of the Wild.
They
That
also play it a lot like board game night, right? Like it feels kind of like the way he was describing it. It was like we all sit down and we all play them together and we all have like just like a fun night where we all hang out.
yeah, and as
Playing
much as
video
my wife
games.
is probably gonna fight me on this, like I like because gaming has been such a big and influential part of my life. I will do this with our kids. Like I will be like, "Oh, hey, like when I was your age, I played this game and it was lots of fun and maybe you'll like it." And if they don't, cool. Like that's fine. Like
Yeah.
if they do, great. I'll have something like that I can share with my kids that we both enjoy.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to like, it's about like I mean, it's about the inclusivity, like include, and it, maybe
So then
I'll.
you should like the Pokemon Let's Go games.
Yeah, but I can't. I try. I can't.
It's because you're kind
Not
of an
the
elitist about it.
I am though. Like I am, and I recognize that.
That
like,
means that you just have to get over yourself and accept that it's a good thing that there are more people who like the thing that you like.
They're not gonna play Let's Go. This is something else like Nick was saying, not about like Let's Go, but like, the second thing he said was like that they're like sort of helicoptering about what games their kids play, because like there's a lot of derivative garbage. Like there's a lot of like just games that are just bad, like just objectively bad.
What I'm thinking is like let's take like definition of bad out of this. Like there are a lot of games that are not actually games. Like there are a lot of games that are just like a repetitive action. Like there's no win condition to them in in a lot of
sandbox games.
Yeah, no, not even sandbox games. I'm talking about like Nick in his like kind of what we asked him to kind of give, said like a lot of mobile games specifically. He like called out a lot of mobile games. And there's a lot of mobile games that like don't have like an actual clear goal or an end point, right? Like
they just go on for like they just go
they
on.
go on forever. There's no point like, but it's past
Cookie
like they
clicker.
go on. Yeah, they're very cookie cutter. And at
No,
least
cookie clicker.
oh, cookie clicker. Oh, okay. Yeah,
But
cookie
but
clicker's a
yes,
really
but
good
also
example.
cookie cutter.
Yeah, but like there's a difference between, and this is where I disagree with Nick and what he was saying of like we don't want them playing mobile games. I think there's a difference between games like even Candy Crush and like Subway Runner. Like those are two very different types of games for me. At least with Candy Crush you can get like spatial reasoning, you can get like it's Bejeweled. It's that matching game like how can I maximize things for the best moves kind of thing. Meanwhile, Subway Runner is like, oh, I'm just gonna not hit things while I run.
Well, and so okay, so it's fair to it's fair to disagree with Nick on that. Like absolutely, like yeah. Thank you,
Yes.
Jacob. So it's fair to disagree with Nick on that. But you did catch the part where he was talking about like he like Jacob and I, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know Jacob feels this way, are firmly in the camp of like video games as a form of art, like as art
I
media.
got that.
So like he wants them to play like the highest quality, like most beautifully designed and written and like I Chrono Trigger,
understand that. And I
games,
understand that, but I don't
games were like a lot of work and thought and just like
I'm not saying that those games don't deserve the time that they're being given. What I am saying is I hate the elitist mentality of all mobile games are bad.
I don't know that he said that.
No, he didn't say that. But that's how what you're saying comes off like that.
I didn't say that either.
You imply
not all mobile games are bad.
No.
I have a lot of games on my phone. I play games on my phone all the time.
Hold on. What you were saying was we want to give them games that have a lot of time and games and it's an art form and stuff like that. Bejeweled, is it an art form? Is Bejeweled an art form?
Fair. Also, I played Bejeweled. Like,
that's
fair.
why I'm using Bejeweled instead of Candy Crush.
Okay, no, fair. No, no, I understand.
Like I am constructing this argument in a way because I hate this elitist mentality about video games that so many gamers have. It really drives me.
I feel like this is a little bit like people gatekeeping against you and less like.
No, it's people gatekeeping in general. Jacob, go get popcorn because maybe I have more opinions than I thought I would about this episode.
Oh no!
It's gone. There it is.
There it is.
So I feel like a distinction that can be made to a degree, like some games are made just to like very obviously have an addictive game loop and to get people to spend money on them with microtransactions.
And we talked about this in the mobile gaming episode. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
and but going back to like history of gaming, arcade games were made like intentionally hard so that they could eat up quarters. While it did require skill, while it did require skill to be good at some of them, like some of them were endless grabs for a high score, whereas others kind of had an end. Like Time Crisis has an end. It'll eat up your quarters, but there's an end to the game.
But Galaga doesn't have an end.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of a distinction maybe, is that like I know from my personal experience, like playing online games that have no end that are like especially games with matchmaking systems, that's like kryptonite for me in just my functioning as a human being. And so I just can't really engage with those. But games that have a clear beginning and end, like I played the heck, I mean, no, or played the hell, like pun intended, out of Hades, because there was like it was a really good game.
There's a
I love
clear
roguelites.
goal.
And also there was a goal. And now that I've gotten through the storyline, I'm interested in beating it at the harder difficulties, but I don't really care as much anymore because I'm just like, okay, like I got all the storyline. Like the rest of this is now just grinding for furniture, and I don't know that I care that much about that. Like
I'm sorry,
Right,
did
and
you mean The Sims?
yeah.
Well, and I feel like that really like solidifies like yeah, there are kind of two types of games in my opinion. There's like games that you can play to fill time and like cool down and like enjoy a moment,
Relax.
and those games for some people are not that, right? Like what you were saying. I mean, Lewis is kind of the same way, where they consume you and you want to optimize. Like even Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley can do that for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks off.
Yeah. But like also at the same time, like once we beat the like storyline of Stardew Valley, like I just stopped caring.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of what happened. That's kind of what happened with Lewis too. Meanwhile, like I haven't finished the storyline and I don't feel the need to. I just like doing the cute things and like I'll probably marry Harvey and that's all I want to do. And like
not Elliot. Elliot is the best.
he's so melodramatic.
It's
He's
great.
so ugh.
He has
I just like
he has
me a
nightmares
cute-
about you cutting off his hair.
I like a cute little I like my cute little doctor. I like my cute little doctor. I will say Leo was a close second for me in terms of like who I was thinking about romancing. I tried to romance Abigail in one playthrough and it was so hard.
And she
Like,
eats rocks.
Like what is wait, what?
You can get it's a bug that he never fixed and he chose not to once he found out. You can gift her like gemstones and she eats them and is like, that was tasty.
Leah or Abigail?
Abigail.
That's horrifying.
I didn't
eats
know that.
rocks.
So that's type 1 where you eat rocks. Type 2 is like storyline, like very storyline driven, right? Like Hades or like Fallout even, or like Tomb Raider, stuff like that. Like they have a clear beginning and end. They have a story and you're trying to kind of go through it.
So the question is there a type 3 that is
Co-op.
Unity? Yeah. I was thinking
co-op.
like multiplayer games, like especially online multiplayer, like there is, while the communities can be trash, there's still kind of like I don't know, like competitive community. Like you sometimes you get to a point where you find people that you want to have on your team, like especially in like team-based games. Like you respect their skill, like you friend them online. You're like, hey, like we're throwing together a competitive team. Like we want to
even
all be good at this thing. Like
past that, like Mario Party's type 3.
Yeah.
Like there's like the Overwatches and the Dotas of this, and then there's like Mario Party.
Like Overcooked. Like my wife is obsessed with Overcooked.
It's really stressful. Or Phasmophobia.
I have never yelled at my wife, and she has never yelled at me as much as we do when we play Overcooked. Like
you shouldn't play Overcooked together.
Not like angrily, but like, no, the soup is burning. Not like angrily yelling at each other. We're like panicking. Yeah, no, it's panicking.
Okay. I just
once the cock of cascade starts, it never stops. Like
I'm sorry, the what?
Okay, so you know how so this is a term coined by Yahtzee Croshaw, Zero Punctuation, Escapist. Very good. Definitely recommend. Not sponsored. Definitely recommend. So the cascade, because I'll stop using that word, so like in a stealth game when you're like being very methodical and you're like, okay, I gotta take out this enemy, and you take out that enemy and like no one sees you, and it's great, and then you're like, okay, now I'm gonna go take out this enemy, and then like you get to the third enemy.
Just playing Shadows of Mordor.
Hold on. and then you get to the third enemy and he sees you, and then like everyone attacks, like him seeing you and you like panicking and being like, oh no, and you like accidentally pull out like a loud gun and kill him in front of a bunch of people or whatever, and then like some other guys come in and then
Oh, you
you're
mean
fighting
why I
those
rage
guys,
quit
and then
Las
some
Vegas,
other
New
guys
Vegas?
come in, and like it's just like
Yeah, why
that's
I rage quit New Vegas.
yeah, so that's the cock-up cascade. It's just like
Oh, so like
one small thing happens that leads to like all
so
out
there's a
war.
cascade trigger when you cast the spell, and then it just. I see. Okay. But instead of like getting something good out of it, you get like.
You get bodied by 8 million enemies suddenly knowing where you are at the same
Yeah,
time.
you can't go to the
And I
first
hate
town and
You
get
have-
the game.
I hate the hive mind mentality of AI in games. It's lazy and there's no reason to suggest this is a hill that I will die on.
Why I
Not
restarted
the point.
in New Vegas. You accidentally shoot and kill one barkeep, and suddenly the
you're
entire town hates you. It's fine. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay. So
Maybe-
Jacob.
Talk more about this.
I was just imagining like using that logic in like any like in real life, like someone complaining about going to jail for murder. You kill one barkeep, and suddenly you're the bad guy. Like
This is the type of person Brenna is, though. Let's be honest. Okay, so anyway, this is not really like this episode is kind of turning into, I'm gonna try to like get us back on track while Brenna is not here. But this episode isn't meant to be about like, oh, these games are bad and we shouldn't play them, and these games are good and we should play them, or like the difference between like casual gaming and hardcore gaming. Like gaming is gaming. Like
yeah,
the Mr. Incredible meme. Like gaming is gaming. Like
something that I wanted to talk about was the bridging the generation gap. Like isn't limited to video games. There's lots of other media that has a long history, and like there are people who are maybe now more into film, sort of, or like Marvel and comic books and other stuff because
okay,
of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so like in a way, I feel like the bridging the gap, like Brenna's point, however however many bad experiences she's had, I think is a good bring up, because the bridging the gap is about inclusivity. Like, you know, viewing, and like we've talked about this before, as far as like, you know, gatekeeping in communities, but I think the bridging the gap is more about like, I don't know, I feel like new people in communities, they want, most of the time they probably want more of things. I know there's, you know, certain people who like maybe they go back and watch, they consume like older versions of media and they consider it like ugly compared to the new stuff. And so like they have a hard time learning or appreciating like the roots of certain things just because of the like older aesthetics. Whereas, you know, some people get more into it. So one thing I was thinking about was like, at least with me and Magic cards, like I had some neighbors who started getting into Magic, and
neighbors
I didn't.
now.
No, neighbors, like when
Before?
I was growing up, like
Okay.
they brought home some Magic cards, because like we were into Yu-Gi-Oh, and we're like playing against each other, and they brought home Magic cards one time, and just looking at them, I was like, these are ugly. Like, why would I ever want to play this game like with this terrible art? And honestly, I think like Magic's art had like the visual
changed.
quality of it has changed so much. And when I did finally get into it, it was at a point where like I, you know, I appreciated the art and I appreciated the game mechanically and everything. And now I can look past art that I still don't like, you know, visually, and just appreciate the game mechanics of older cards. So And then I think it's like kind of same with anime sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you know, there were definitely like certain styles of anime. Like I think stuff like My Hero Academia and like My Hero Academia, Hunter x Hunter, Naruto, like a lot of things characters are perhaps more squat now as far as like their height or dimensions. Like okay, so Code Geass, all the characters in that are just impossibly long. Like they are lanky.
I can't think of people saying Code Geass without immediately going to Code Lyoko.
Yeah, giant foreheads, Code Lyoko.
Giant foreheads.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, that's kind of my thoughts. Is that just like people, as far as inclusivity goes, I think sometimes people from older generations, there can be times when they are just excited to share their love of the media that they've had this whole time, and then other times there is that push where like, oh well, like, oh you haven't watched the originals, then like don't even talk to me until you watch the originals, which like is dumb. You know, like there's merit to the new stuff, and sometimes there isn't merit to the new stuff, like, and you can be critical of it, and that's fine. But you know, writing off a love of, you know, your like nerd fandom, just writing off an entire section of people, like I don't know, it seems like I don't know, why do it.
We addressed that a lot in the gatekeeping episode. I'm gonna go back through these things like sort of in backwards order, and because that was just, I kept thinking of more things to sort of like, I agree 100% with your point. So I was like thinking of things that, you know, I could liken to that, not liken like lycanthropy, but liken like similar.
Like Moss.
Yeah, sure. So Brittany 100% did not ever care about anime. Like, she didn't grow up playing video games. She didn't grow up like watching anime or like reading manga or like any like any of that.
A woman of culture. I'm kidding.
Not the point. And so I was like, no, like, you gotta like what anime have you watched? Like, don't like just write it off like, oh, it's stupid. And she was like, honestly, none. Like, so I was like, all right, watch Cowboy Bebop, because like always trying to get people to watch Cowboy Bebop, because Cowboy Bebop's amazing.
Yeah.
And so she's watched the first few episodes of it, and she's like really into it. Like, she really likes it, and we were done watching an episode the other day, and she was like, you know, honestly, I thought like anime were all about like these big like women with huge eyes, like ridiculous proportions. And I was like, yeah, some anime is like that, like, you know, like there's fan service anime or whatever, and some anime is like weird like that. But there's also like this like entire subculture of like gritty 90s anime that's like Cowboy Bebop. It's like similar art style and similar like storytelling style. And so she was like, okay. And so now that's like her introduction to that. And I'm not saying she's going to go and watch like all of Rurouni Kenshin or Yu Yu Hakusho or something, like, but she is.
Yu Yu Hakusho's bad. I stand by that sentence. Yu Yu Hakusho's really bad.
That's fine. You can be wrong.
No, I watched like 20 episodes. It's really bad.
Okay, not the point. We're not going to argue about Yu Yu Hakusho.
What kind of Grim Reaper says bingo?
So, but that's like, she's like introduced herself to anime, or I like introduced her to anime, and so now she's like more accepting of playing video games and like trying different things and trying new things in like nerd subcultures. The other thing I was gonna say, based on what you were saying about Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they watch that and then they're like interested in older stuff. That's 100% true. Jacob says Yu Yu Hakusho is
so boring.
Anime, and
I cannot express to you how much I did not give a shit about any of those characters. Okay, I wanted them all to die at all times.
I do want to bring up though that almost all of Legend of Korra is also a tournament arc anime.
Yeah, but those are interesting
the ridiculous
characters.
ending tournaments.
Yeah, but I
Not the
cared about
point.
those characters.
Not the point. Not the point.
Season 3 of Legend of Korra is the best, in my opinion.
I agree.
It is. Not the point though. So about the Marvel Cinematic Universe thing. So like the oldest kid, he is super into Spider-Man. Like loves Spider-Man. Like everything is Spider-Man. If it's not Pokemon and it's not Minecraft, it's Spider-Man.
A
Everything's
man of
Spider-Man.
culture.
So they have watched like the really old, really weird like
Like
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoons.
the 60s one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
With
the,
with
like,
all
like
the,
I can hear the
horrible-
theme song.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
hmm
It's so good.
And so like they went back and like their dad had to like acquire them
Super legally.
for them. Right? No, of course. Spider-Man, the man of culture, in a tuxedo at a restaurant drinking champagne.
Let's
Peter
be
can't
real.
afford champagne. Let's be
I was
honest.
gonna say no. Peter can afford champagne. He can't afford a suit. He is sitting in his
I
apartment
imagine the
drinking
spandex
pizza with
Spider-Man.
champagne.
I imagine like a spandex Spider-Man costume, but like with a bow tie that's like painted on.
He sharpied it on. He sharpied it on for like a fancy event, and I'm just imagining him like mask off in suit with a pizza and a bottle of champagne, and he's just drinking out of the bottle of champagne. This might be more of like a Peter B. Parker thing, but like that's where my brain immediately goes.
I was also just thinking about having the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s, how Peter's built like a
He's hella
19
jacked.
Yeah, he's
He's
built
hella jacked.
like a
And then-
1970s college football player.
Yeah.
In the really weird like pointy logo Aerosmith theme song, Spider-Man. Yeah, he's hella jacked. Anytime he has a shirt off, he's like Ben Affleck in Gone Girl. He's like triangular.
Yeah.
He's super jacked. Okay, Brenna has some things that she wants
Okay.
to say. That was all I was gonna say. Like, I agree 100% with like you like the thing now. Go look at where the thing came from, and
So-
like see the appreciation.
I have a weird perspective on that too, because I'd never seen The Matrix.
Have never
until
or had
I
never?
had never until
Okay.
I was 22, 20, 21, 22, a couple years
Okay.
ago. So when I watched The Matrix, at
You love
first,
Keanu Reeves.
yes, I do love Keanu Reeves, which is part of why I wanted to watch it and part of why they were surprised, like my friends were surprised that I had never seen it.
Yeah.
So when I was sitting down and I was watching it, I was like, I know what's going to happen next, not because I've seen this movie, but because I know the tropes. But then, like, while watching the movie, I took a step back and was like, well, shit. The Wachowski sisters started all of that because of this movie. Like, they are the origin of those tropes. The Wachowski sisters, like, did this for this genre. Like, without The Matrix, John Wick wouldn't have happened. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
like very directly.
Yeah.
And like that was a really fascinating like as
Revelation?
someone, not even revelation, it was just fascinating watching it from that lens of like, this is where all of that genre gets all of its tropes.
Mhm.
Because I don't particularly like action movie,
Wire fu, like
like
fighting, and running and shooting, and
yeah, like I like John Wick because it's really unique. It's a unique take on the genre. And it's just so relentless. Like,
I love
it's-
the like old man, like tired, like
And
kind of
it doesn't-
assassin trope.
yeah, like, yeah.
Like,
well,
oh man, I guess I work now. Like,
yeah, and like the same with like In Bruges is kind of like that style of like, yes, it's an action movie, but it's a comedy first. Like, that's stuff like
not
that.
that John Wick is a comedy, just like
No, but like
Right.
I'm talking about that like action genre would not exist the way it does in today's. Fast and the Furious wouldn't look the way it did if The Matrix hadn't existed.
you lost me.
No, because
No,
Every-
you did lose me.
what I'm saying
What?
is like like if you look at the shot types for Fast and the Furious, right? Like the later movies, like past Tokyo Drift.
Shifting. They're always shifting. They shift so much. Everything is shifting.
That's not. Look, I can't drive manual, but like I don't think that's how that works.
No, it does not work like that at all. There
can't
is
drive
not that much shifting.
But like even watching like Fast and the Furious, the first one came out like what, 2002? 2003?
2002, I think. I'm not even gonna look it up because I don't care that much.
Furious came out in 2001. Cool. So I think
They need to make a Fast and Furious musical.
no, God no. So that's my take on that is like it can sometimes be hard to watch those older forms of media because you already know why they are, like you already know what they've created. Sometimes it's difficult to like it can be good to watch where it comes from, but I also understand the like magic is ugly. Like in one of my magic
Is that how
decks,
you imagine Jacob's voice sounds?
no,
Like,
no,
is that
no, no.
Jacob's voice in your head?
No, it's just every nerd boy who every time I've played my old Soul Ring has gone, wow, that's old. I hate that art. Cause I have one of the like red backed Soul Rings.
Oof.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, where it's like
I have
on fire.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
that art. That was I when I was making my Thalia Heretic Cather deck, I needed a Soul Ring, and I just went to
That you could get.
TCG Player, and I was like, whatever's the cheapest. Boom. I need this. I need these cards. I don't care about which version. Boom. Because
Fair.
Hate Bearers is kind of expensive as an archetype. So that's what I went with, and I got an old Soul Ring, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. But the other example I want to talk about of like, let's compare old art, since I'm on a sharing screen kind of day.
Oh, no.
I am a
What am I
person
about
who
to look at?
plays. I'm a person who plays a lot of second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Okay, I was like, what am I about to look at?
Let's compare the current art for White Dragon. This is the official art for White Dragon. I love that. Beautiful. Oh wow. Oh wow. Shift into turbo.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you
Shift
talking
into
about?
turbo. So we have the official
It took
art
me a
for
while.
White Dragon, right?
Did you just do that? Just
Yeah,
now? Like you just made that?
I made it while Brennan was talking.
Oh my god. Here is the official art for the White Chromatic Dragon in the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition campaign book
Wow.
in the monster manual.
That looks like something from the SNES.
Yeah, like there's some like wild. Ooh, what is
It
this?
looks like Dark Dragon from Shining Force.
That dwarf art's not bad. Okay, dwarf art's not bad.
Elf.
Ooh,
Elf.
that's
definitely,
rough.
definitely elf.
Wow,
Wait,
that
are we
air
talking about
elemental
the air?
is terrible.
It's awful.
Elf. Just
Although I guess
straight
it's
up. Okay, yeah.
Aquatic? Drow.
That is a look that I have not seen in a while. The like fur coat.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a fur coat makes you evil.
Ooh,
Can confirm.
the goblins.
Wow. That's
Honestly, maybe this could be a fun episode where I just like go through this book and I create like a PowerPoint slideshow and we do a game show where I make you two guess what this creature is from like old D&D art books. I feel
This
like
actually sounds like a really good idea.
this
Yeah,
sounds like
on
a
board.
great
That does
idea
sound
for an
very
episode.
I'm 100% on board with that.
Okay. But so here's the thing. There's some art that's
I also
ugly.
really hope that the screen share comes up in the record. Otherwise, it's going to be wild.
It's gonna be wild.
The track down.
I hope so because it goes through Skype.
Right.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yay!
Yeah.
Learning is fun.
But yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to say was like
So,
bridging the gap can be hard.
okay, so here's sort of like the question that's going to lead to final thoughts on this is like, does it happen by itself?
No.
Yes.
Okay, why no? You answered first, so why no?
So I think you have to actively bridge that gap. I don't think it's something in a
What do you
lot
mean?
of
You as the person experiencing the new media, or you as
both.
the person like pushing the new
As
media?
someone like, and I'm considering this too as like getting into a new hobby too, right? Like just in general, like let's take this out of just like the context of showing something someone. We're now to like put it. Sorry. I'm going to frame my answer from just a completely new introduction to a new topic.
Okay.
In general,
Okay.
whenever you are introducing someone to something, you have to be kind and patient and willing to work with them to help them understand what's happening.
Absolutely. No.
But
Okay.
that's not worth fuck all if the other person doesn't want to receive openly and willingly all of the information that you're throwing their way.
This is shockingly relevant to what's happening right now, in something
Life?
that's completely unrelated.
Oh, okay.
To me specifically, it's like
Oh.
shockingly relevant. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
And this is why I really wanted to be an educator for a really long time, because I firmly believe that if you are passionate and you are open and caring and respectful, you will encourage the people you are teaching. You will encourage others around you to exhibit that same passion back towards you.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't think bridging the gap comes naturally.
Okay. That's fair. Jacob, why do you say yes?
So I don't know. Brenna convinced me. People suck. You have to be special.
Why did you say yes originally?
No. So the thing is, so I DM for a group of teens who are 9 years younger than me, and they're like the age gap, according to the definition that we kind of gave for a generation earlier of
15
being
years.
15 years. That's within that gap enough that we've seen enough of the same like cultural zeitgeists to be able to relate to each other. So the thing is, like, I think it depends on, I think just like the nature of fandoms to a degree bring people together, at least. Whether or not that community is a healthy one does require effort. So I agree with Brenna on that. But I think the nature of being into something can put you in those spaces anyway. So
Yes, yeah, but I
so
don't
that
think
yeah.
but I don't think that always inherently means that you want to like talk to others about it. And maybe this is my personal experience because when I have talked about shit like this with people who are supposedly interested in the same things I am, they get really hateful sometimes about that, or like you don't know what you're talking about. Like about
Like what?
poison ivy or like magic or
Okay.
like stuff like that, like stuff that I actively love and care about, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Okay,
or
that's
even
fair.
D&D. Like I think this is just it comes from different personal experiences.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
I haven't
am
felt
so grateful that you've had such like an easy positive experience. I have not. And if I'm teaching someone I care about a thing I care about, I want them to have that easy experience. Because I have not received that when I am learning sometimes. Oh.
So it's not just a generation gap then. But
No.
like, going back to this is
It's a
really
gender and a racial and a sexuality-based discussion as well that we could get into larger, but we've already done a lot of those conversations.
Right, we've already done a lot of that.
Yeah.
So take a lot of what was said there and throw it into this lens of like,
It's just another form of like gatekeeping, and I think maybe like I don't know when it comes to the kids, like there can be, and like not everyone has like maternalistic or paternalistic instincts like when it comes to children, but I think sometimes you can have unless you're like really terrible, like you can have more leniency sometimes, like if you're intolerant of someone and you view them at least as an adult, sometimes you can be maybe like more rude to them because you're like, oh, like they're an adult, like they're my same age and they haven't had the same experiences as I, kind of, I think Brenna, you had talked once about the like dislike of the trope of saying like, oh wait, you don't know about this? You didn't have a childhood, like, that joke.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of in that same vein then, like for some reason, like educating younger people, I don't know, maybe it just feels gratifying because you're like, you're safe in your knowledge that you know more than them and like there's no way they can challenge you on it.
Yeah. It's a level of
100%.
superiority.
I feel that way about Pokemon with the children.
Yeah,
so,
like
like it's no skin off your back if they're wrong because they're kids. But if a adult who is not of your same demographic challenges you on something, then there could be validity to their opinion, and that could be scary if you're set in your ways. So like, I think as far as your point about it takes work, it's mostly about being humble on both sides. Like humble enough to receive instruction, humble enough to give opinions without judgment.
It's why a lot of like terrible nerd boys on the internet thought Birds of Paradise was bad.
Birds of Paradise or Birds of Prey?
Birds of Prey. Sorry, Birds of Prey. We're
Okay.
talking about magic, so a lot of Reddit thought Birds of Prey was really bad. I think Birds of Prey is great.
So it's not just like an age gap thing, though. Like bridging the gap isn't just an age gap thing. It's also like
it's almost like as a nerd community, we all need to always come together and talk about the different like lenses and perspectives we all share. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, that was weird. The screen just like yeah, you said you were sharing screen and nothing came up.
Yeah, nothing came
weird.
up.
It was just empty.
What?
Do you want to try again?
Yeah, 1 second. Weird.
Yeah,
this way, you don't have to edit this in later, hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's like as a community of nerds, we all need to go.
Nope, yep, there it is. That's the image that Jacob showed earlier.
It's like we all need to come together as a community and like actively. Oh God.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. We need to actively come together and talk about like our different perspectives and listen to other perspectives.
Right, and even like yes, I was gonna go there with that, but what I was saying was like it's not just bridging the gap to like the younger generations, but it's like
to each other.
To each other, like right, like what I was saying with like Brittany,
yeah,
like, never watched anime and now like enjoys Cowboy Bebop because like
and that was how
introduced.
I got properly introduced to anime as well. Because
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd seen. It wasn't the first anime I watched like most of, but it was the first anime I watched and didn't feel like I wasted my time.
There's a lot of anime in the world, and some of it is bad.
You can say that over and over and over again.
There's a lot of anime in the world, and some of it is bad. There's a lot of anime in the world, and some of it is bad. There's a lot of anime in the world. Some of it is bad.
So final thoughts?
There's a lot of
There's a
anime,
lot.
and some of it is bad.
She said you can, not that you should.
Well,
Side note.
you see,
Wait.
Jacob, there's a lot of anime in the world, and some of it is
I
bad.
know. Can I just tell like an anecdote about like that idea? So there's a channel on Twitch that does RPG stuff, tabletop RPG stuff. They're called Hyper RPG.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. But they recently did a stream to raise money for them because, you know, quarantine times are hard for tabletop RPG houses, basically, right? Like, they don't have guests. They can't create content like they usually would because they need people, but this is a time when you can't have people. So they recently did a stream where one of their hosts they had to reach saying content 1,000 times before someone could donate $50. If someone donated $50, the stream would go back to 0. So you'd have to start saying content all over again. The stream was 5 hours long of just this one guy, Lucas, saying content, 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 content.
Well, what he could have said was, there's a lot of anime content, and some of it is bad.
Exactly. So you just saying there's a lot of anime in this world and some of it's bad over and over again just made me think of the clips I watched of that, of just him going. And my favorite was like the people in the background would come in with a whiteboard and say like, "Hey, you need coffee? Like you want a snack right now?" And he would just like shake his head yes or no. There's just like such a fear in his eyes.
Oh no, we're gonna get more money.
I won't
This
do
is a
that.
problem.
$50 is $50.
Content.
Okay, so final thoughts. Is bridging the gap? The answer is obviously yes. Is bridging the gap worth it? Was gonna be my end question, but absolutely yes. Like it's about, like, I think we talked about this either last episode or a couple episodes ago, like having more people interested in the things that you were interested in, like, builds the community. Having more people interested in a thing builds a community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at a certain point as well, you get, well, one thing I just thought of was how a lot of like Japanese and Chinese media over the years has been rehashings of like classic folklore. And probably the same with Western media, like if we're being honest, like there's lots of allegories of, like Greek mythology and like Norse mythology, other things like that. And I feel like there's a point where, harkening back, like having enough people in the community and enough new people coming into communities gives you those opportunities to like see those retellings of like older themes and like done in ways that are more relatable to people like moving forward. So I guess as far as like bridging the gap like generationally goes when it comes to media is important for that reason, because you get new skills and takes and thoughts and everything.
Context.
Yeah, and that helps. Yeah, it helps. And the thing that's the most impressive to me about stuff like that is like when you find an ancient piece of media that like
Define
resonate.
ancient, like hieroglyphics,
like
or
Greek,
like
not Oedipus. I'm trying to think what one of the like really old plays is. Like
the
one of the
Iliad?
ones. Yeah, or shoot, I can't remember
That's a
the.
book.
Yeah. But stories like that, that are 2,000 plus years old.
What I like about like that stuff is when you find something that you can relate to now, while reading old context.
That's the point I was trying to make, is that that's cool just to see that like people have been people for so long.
Problems don't change.
Yeah, like and having new like allegories for that media and everything like is cool, because it helps you recontextualize for the modern day.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Bridging the gap is super worth it. When it's done well. I find that some people tend to not do it well, and that's really when when bridging the gap is not done well, that is when things get a bad name and a bad rep, and that's when you get parents like mine who didn't really want me to play video games because they thought they were stupid. But I think if like my parents had heard about games like Chrono Trigger and stuff like that, like outside of the context of, yeah, like our super nerdy friends, like they like have their kids play all the video games, like whatever. Like I think, or video games are a boy thing. If I'd gotten that out of that context, I think my parents would have been more down for it.
Okay, fair. No, that makes sense.
Or they might not have been. I don't know.
Okay, so this has been interesting discussion with a lot of good takes, I think, on bridging the gap
And one
its
scalding take.
bridging the gap and its interaction with like
General nerd community.
gatekeeping
Yeah.
and the nerd communities and how it all goes into one pot, and what comes out is the next generation of
Love
nerds.
one another and respect one another and take care of each other. God, especially right now, for the love of all that's good in this world. And
Okay.
the worlds of Warhammer
Bruno?
40K are totally, or 40K are totally related to.
The Netflix Christmas
Yeah, the
cinematic
Netflix
universe,
Christmas
which is
cinematic
its own
universe.
thing.
That's the most important part
Really?
to take from this episode
You
is that
get nothing else.
the Netflix Christmas universe is the same universe as the Warhammer
War-
40K universe.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get
yeah.
nothing else from this episode. That's what you need to take away. But Brenna, we should remain calm because in 3 days, it's time.
Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk.
It's time.
I can't be calm.
You have no idea.
Oh, I have every idea. I have every idea. I'm
She's
gonna.
Now they can't delay it.
They
It's
can't.
in stores.
Well, they can't. But also, like, I get to recreate my character. I get to recreate my cyberpunk character in the game because I play the tabletop game. Do you know that I played the tabletop game?
I did.
I think so. Yeah.
I knew-
Yeah, I think I've talked about it. Like, oh my god, I get to create Beverly Merriweather. I'm so excited. Oh my god, guys, like it's gonna be like so great, and like I'm
Real
really
question is-
excited.
Can you dress up as John F. Kennedy? That's all that matters.
I mean, yeah, can you be in one of the gangs? Can you be in one of
Yeah, there's a gang that like gets like
Yeah.
facial reconstruction
There's
so that
al-
they all
there's
look like the
sev-
exact same person.
There are several.
Yeah.
Okay, you're already spoiling things for me. I have not watched.
No.
a
I don't
lot
know
of-
if that's in the game.
Okay,
I know
no.
that's in the tabletop.
Okay, I'm just
And
saying.
so I wonder,
There's a
is it
lot
in
of
the
stuff
game?
that I've been avoiding, like all the videos that CD Projekt Red is releasing, like talking about the story and talking about this and talking about that.
Oh no, we're not talking about that.
I'm avoiding the hell out of all of that because I want to sit down on my computer on the 10th and like fully
Also,
immerse
like-
myself in something new and delicious.
It's one
like,
more reason
of
for me to fall in love with
Bathtub of
Keanu
marinara
Reeves.
sauce.
I just get to
Now I
fall in
wanna
love
play
with
Deus
Keanu
Ex
Reeves
Human.
again.
Now you want to play what?
Deus Ex Human Revolution.
For Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves?
No, just because Cyberpunk is making me think of that kind of
Oh,
world.
yeah.
You should think about Cyberpunk 2077 instead and not dystopian. I never asked for this, Adam Jensen. Because he never asked for this.
Anyway, we should probably
That's
end the
just a
episode
terrible
like we
character.
thought we were going to 5 minutes ago.
I'm just
Okay.
imagining him ordering McDonald's now.
I
like
never
looking
asked
down at
That's an actual meme. That you have to have seen that meme somewhere. There's, I
I
refuse to
might have
believe
at
that you
one
made
point.
that up completely, because that's literally like the exact description of a human revolution meme. Okay, Cyberpunk 2077 comes out soon. Gatekeeping is bad. Be nice to each other. Bridge the gap. Teach the children.
The Netflix
But
Christmas
not the
Cinematic
British
Universe.
children.
Yes, teach the children, but not the British children.
Because they're in the Warhammer 40k universe.
Yeah, they have enough.
Yeah, they've got so
Netflix
much info.
Christmas special.
I just can't
Universe
wait until
the
Vanessa
same as
Hudgens
the
becomes the
British.
hegemon.
She becomes the emperor.
And I think we should call it there. Adios!
Yeah, that's it.